Start. Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Yomesh Gupta, and in this video we are going to solve a front-end coding challenge, basically a UI challenge where we need to build this canvas or this board with three CTAs. Let me zoom in and show you. The CTAs would be undo, redo and reset. We'll come to their functionality. So basically we'll have this blank canvas where if I click somewhere, then a circle should pop up with this animation, and it should be assigned a random colors. These colors would be provided to you, or you can assign a random color or create a collection and assign it from here. So if we click anywhere on the board, then this circle should appear with a random color, and they can overlap also. Now if I click on undo, then the circle should disappear in the order of insertion. That means the last added circle should be removed when we click on undo, and if I click on redo, then these circles can reappear on the screen again. And if I click on reset, then the board should be reset to its original state. Let me show you this again quickly. So let's say we have added this. I click on undo, all the circles are gone. If I click on redo, then the circle should appear, and these buttons undo and redo should change their state depending upon if there is anything left to add or anything left to remove. And if I click on reset, then the board is reset to the original state. So without wasting any time, let's get started. So let's build our app. So let's see what all files we have right now. We have app.js, index.js, style.css, and index.html, and constant.js. Okay, so this file contains all the colors that we need to assign to the dots or circles. Okay, so we want to create a board first. So let me create a folder called board. Inside this I'll create a file index.js. Let's open this. Inside this I'll create a board. You can call it canvas or whatever you want. Right now I'm just calling it board, and this would have a class name of board for now. Let's just print something board, and we'll export it, export default board. And inside this we'll go to our app.js, we'll import this, and in place of this we will just render it. So we have the board here. Okay, great. Now let's go to our board component and let's close this. So what we want to do, what we understand from the demo, is that we have to create an empty board, which we have already done. Then dots or circles in this case should appear wherever user clicks. Okay, let me make this bigger. Then we need to support undo. That means remove last added circle, and support redo, which would be add last removed circle. Cool, good enough. And we need to support reset, which is setting the board to its original state. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. And yes, some animations also, bounce animations. We'll come to that at the later part, but right now we'll do it in this order. So inside this board, let's give it some styling. So I'll create a board here with a width of maybe 100 and border of maybe 5 pixels solid. Let's take a color. Let me take this one. So now let me increase this border a bit. So we have 10 pixels. So this is our board. Now inside the board we want to create a circle wherever we click. Okay, so let's make the cursor also pointer so that we have this. So if we go back to our board.js, we want to store the coordinates of wherever the mouse click happens. So a lot of people, what they do in this scenario, their basic impulse is that they'll use a use effect here from React, and they set a tracking like document dot add event listener on mouse move, and they store the what we call mouse coordinates in some state like client X and client Y. This is what we going to get. So this is going to, let me, if I show you right now, if we go to console and if I just show you e part, like if I'm scrolling, so I'm getting the mouse event here, and in mouse event we have X and Y. We also have client X and client Y, which is going to give us the exact property where the current mouse is. And on unmount we clean this, but this is unnecessarily adding event listener to the DOM, and we are removing it. A better way in this scenario could be that we remove this use effect altogether. Let me refresh this so that we don't have the event listener. We just do it on click. So let's say if we have handle click, we will have the element e event here, which is the handle click event. In this we will set, but to store this we need some sort of state. So we'll say use state, will create a state which we going to call circles, and maybe set circles. This is going to be an empty array initially. So here what we can do is we can call set circles, will have the previous value, and this is going to return a new array where we'll have the, will spread the current value, and we'll add a new value where X would be e dot client X, which I showed you, and Y would be e dot client Y. And we also need some sort of ID, because we are going to render it on the screen. Now one ID here could be X minus Y, could be a combination, but I don't want to do that because we can have overlapping circles also. If you remember in the demo, if I click at one place twice, then that means that a circle, uh, there could be overlapping circles, exact overlapping. So in this case what I can do is that I can have a ID with a unique ID with new date. You can use UUID, you can use a symbol. I'm just using date string. Also we need to assign a color, so these are the colors. So let me import these. So I'll say colors from constant, we'll have this color. Let's create a util called get random color, and inside this what we are going to generate a random index or array index from the array length. So what we can here is random index math dot random multiply by colors dot length. And so if I show you this right now, so let's say I have a array which is 1 comma 2 comma 3. I'm using a very basic crude way to generate a random index. You can use any npm package also. So if I do math dot random and I multiply it with arr dot length, then it is going to give me a random index always. Now I can use math dot floor, and I'll pass the same thing here into array dot length, sorry, array dot length. So it is going to give me like a random index every time. Now here it is always giving 1 2 3 because arr dot length is 3 only. If we increase it, then it will give us more value. If it can go like, if we have 10 elements, it can give us 8 9 7 whatever. So I can do the same thing here. I'll do math dot floor, or we can do math.round also, that's up to you. And once we have this random index, we are going to return colors dot random index. This is we are going to return. I'll take this and I'll say background color. I'll pass the random color here. So in our board, we can say, we can have this. Let me scroll a bit at the top. We can say on click, whenever we click on this, we'll have handle click. So now if I console log circles here, let's say if I console log circles here for now, if I go to console log, I clean this, see our array is increasing. We have the x coordinate, y coordinate ID with some randomly assigned color. Okay, so now this is, so we are adding the circles to the r, or it should be circles, not circles. Yeah, we are adding the circles, but now we need to render it. So how can we do that? Inside our board, we can create circles.map. We'll have the circle here, each circle. It would be a div with a class name of circle. It would be, or we can create a component also, that would be better. And so inside there, what we can do is we'll go to files. Inside our board, we'll create something called circles. Let's create that JS, and if we go here, we'll have circles. It's going to take circles as our prop, and inside this we'll have a circles.map. We'll have each circle, and we'll return a circle component where key would be circle dot id, and then we'll spread the circle here. So this would make our code a little bit more modular. We'll have the circle here, this will have x, this will have y, and I think we added background color, let me check. So we added bg color, yes. So this is, we are getting this. This is going to return a div. Inside this div we have some what we call class name, which is going to be circle. We'll have some style where background color would be the provided color, and xy I'm not doing right now, but or let's do it, let's add some styling. First let's import this. So inside this I'll do circles from circles, and we'll take this, we come to this part circles, and we'll pass it. This is not working because we haven't exported it. So right now if I go to my styles board, I'll say circle, which would, let's say, width have 24 pixel, height 24 pixel, border radius 50%. And if I click now, see every circle is rendering there only because we haven't applied the position. So we want this to be absolutely positioned as per the board. So what I can do is that position relative to this, let me close this for more space, and when we go back to our circles component, inside this we can have top, and which would be, top would be y dot pixel, and left would be x dot pixel. So now if I refresh this and go, okay, yeah, one more thing which is left, we have to make it position absolute. So if I click, I'm getting the circle, but there, if you zoom in and see, the circle is off, because wherever I'm clicking, it's getting not the exact, it's not originating at the center. So what we can do here is that we can apply a transform with translate -50% and -50%. So now if I refresh and if I come here, see, it's still it's better, but it's still off because we are not center aligning the circle. So what we can do here is that we can go back to our circles, and when we say top and left, then we can minus the radius. So if our circle is 24 pixel, we can minus 12 pixel here. This would center aligned it. So let me refresh and show you again. See, it's much better now. So we are absolutely positioning at that coordinate. Then what we are doing is that we are shifting it by half of the diameter, which is radius basically, so that it is center aligned at that wherever we are clicking. So now if we see our index, let me close this constant. We are rendering the dots wherever user clicks. So this is also done. We rendered the board, we rendered the circles. Now it's undo, redo, and so on. So for that, what we can do here is that we will go to our board, we'll create a component, or in this case what we can do is we will come here, we will select our board. Inside our board, we'll create a new component .controls.js. We'll open it and let me close this one. So this would be controls, basically our buttons. So it would have a div with a class name of controls. Here we need three buttons basically. If I create the structure here, we'll have one button which would say undo. We'll have another button which would say redo, and last would be reset. Okay, now if I export it and import in my index.js, so the idea here is not just to show you how to build this, but also how to structure your code. That if I'm coming here, if someone is seeing my code here, then they can when they come to the board, they can make sense that I have a structure, that this is rendering circles, these are the controls, and it is separated out into separate files. You can do it in one file also, there is no problem. We can move this util also into util function and import it from here. So I'm just trying to show you a better structure and follow a structured and iterative approach. Now coming back to our code, we have undo, redo, and reset. So we can style this a bit maybe. So we'll go to our controls, we'll say, let's say our controls is display flex with a gap of 4 pixels maybe, and we can apply a bit of margin of 10 pixels. Now for each button, what we can do is we can say border 0, outline also 0 maybe, or keep the outline for now. We can have a padding of 10 pixels, 15 pixels. We can apply that green color. So let's say we'll take this green for now. We can say background color, this one. Oh, this is not nice. Let's take this green. This one, we can have a color of white. We can have border radius of 4 pixels, maybe font weight of medium or bold. Now this is fine. And if I zoom in, we can see, so we can say cursor pointer. And if the same, if you have seen my previous video, like if I click right now the circles are coming on top of it, so we'll fix that. But what we can do here is that we can do controls dot button and active. So if it is active, then we can say transform scale 0.9, and in this we can say transition all 0.2, ease in ease out. So I'll show you what's the purpose of this first. But if I click on the bar, if you see the button here, there is a minor interaction now which was not there earlier. So first we need to disable this, that if I click on button, then my circle should not appear at that point. So if I go to my controls, I can say that if my any of my controls component is getting clicked, so I'm not sure, e dot stop propo, I'm not sure what's it is, what's the spelling of it. Okay, so this is wrong. So let me verify event dot I'm not sure what it is called. Controls, let me pause here. So let me add a debugger. So it is coming here, so I can do e dot. Okay, now it's I mean, I could have googled it to save some time, but you know. But yeah, so this is working fine. Now I can remove this and I can refresh. So this will not propagate the event to the top, so that we don't, the board is not registering the event, it is just limiting to the controls. So we added the UI for the buttons. Let's add the functionality also for undo and redo. Let's first talk about undo. So what we want to do is basically we want to remove the last added circle. That means we have to track somehow. So what we can do here is that let's create a state, new state here, what we are going to call history, and we'll say set history use state, and this is going to be an array. Basically whatever we remove from it, we'll store it here in the history part. So now inside this, what I can do is we can say handle undo. So we want to remove the last added circle. So let's create a copy of the current circles. We want the last circle. What we can do here is that copy dot pop, because we need the last element, and set history. So history would have the last circle basically. So we'll have previous, it's going to have the current history plus the last circle, and our current circles would be updated. So we'll pass the copy here. So basically let's say if I had something like circle 1 and circle 2 and circle 3 here, then we popped it. So we'll have a circle 3 basically, circle 3, and our original, so the copy element, the copy one would become something like this. So now in our history, what we are doing is that inside history, our history would become circle 3, because that is the last one we removed, and our set circles, or basically our original circles, would become something like this. So this is what we are trying to do. We are removing the last element and putting it inside the history. Now if I refresh this, and if I, okay, we need to pass it also. So to our controls, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say on undo, handle undo. And if I go to my controls, I'll get this element here on undo. So I'll add it here. So let's see it in action. Let me just refresh it. So if I click here, then I'm adding a bunch of circles. If I click on undo, then my circles are disappearing. So undo operation is working. So if I go to my board, we are working with undo. Now let's do redo so that we can see that both are working together. So I'll just copy it and we'll call it handle redo. We just want to duplicate, reverse the operation, that here we were removing it from the history, sorry, removing it from circles and adding to history. We want to reverse that. Now we want to remove the last added element from history and add it to circles. So something like here we'll make it history, and we'll do copy.pop only, and here we'll just let's rename this last history so that we have more clarity, and let's reverse the order. So this would be set history. So basically what exact same thing, we remove the last element in the history and add it to the our circles, and the updated array would become our history now. So if I refresh now and if I zoom in, I added, let's say, these three. I'll do undo. Now if I do, okay, oh sorry, the same thing again here. I completely forget this every time. So I'll do on redo. I'll pass this. I'll go to my controls. I'll have on redo, and here I'll pass this. Let me verify I've done everything. Yeah. So the another thing here is that, see, I keep forgetting sometimes the operation, but when I look at the code, when I see the output, that what is missing, I can make sense quickly what is going wrong. So that is something we all need to learn, that if you see something unexpected, then you need to able to connect the dots, no pun intended. You need to able to connect the dots, that what is going wrong. So if I click here and if I do undo, then I'm deleting, and if I redo, then it's appearing again. So see, now the last part is the reset part, which is very simple. So here we'll come back, we'll say, let me close this, and here I'll say handle reset, which is nothing more than set circles to as an empty array, and set history because we want to remove everything. We'll take this, we will say set on reset, we'll pass this, we'll take this to our controls, we'll have this here, and on click we will reset the history. So if I refresh and I add a bunch, let's say I undo, then I redo, and then I history, then it's completely reset. So now if I go here, my all these operations are supportive, as in all these operations are done, supported now. One more thing, that we need to disable the buttons depending on, do we have a history, do we have a circle, and so on. So how can we handle that? So here what we can do is that we can say has circles, we can say circles dot length if it is greater than 0, and has history, we can say circles dot length greater than 0. That means if we have history or circles, that on that basis we'll make a call. So we will go to our controls, we will have has his circles here and has history. So if we have history, then only we want to disable or enable in these scenarios. So what we can do is class name here, that we want to disable and enable in these scenarios only. So now has circles, we will, if we have circles, then we don't want to do anything else, we want to disable it. Same goes with to our redo also, that if we have this, but in this case what would be the option would be has history. Let me explain what I did just now. So if we have circles and if we have history, then based on that we want to decide are these operations allowed. That means if we have circles, if we have circles on the screen, then only we want to undo, right? Then only we can disable, disappear or make them disappear from the state if there is some value. So if we have some circles, then we are not going to add any class. If we don't, then we'll disable it. Same goes to history, that if we have history, then only we can redo. That means if something was removed, then only you can add it back. So what we can do here is, we'll add the css for this later. We can also add a disabled prop, like if we have circles. If we don't have circles, then this would be disabled. Same goes here. I added as a class for custom styling. So if we disable, if we don't have history, has history. So now if I refresh, so right now it's showing because we have custom styling here. So what we can do is, we can go to our style.css, and at the bottom we can say if controls dot button dot disabled, if it's disabled, then we can apply some background color. Let's change the background color to something else, uh, maybe this gray, and we will have a cursor as not allowed and pointer event as none. This will disable the cursor, by the way, though. So if I come here, so there is nothing happening when I click on this. So our both the buttons are disabled, but when I click, then right now, since if I go to my circles, or sorry, to my board, we were saying we have circles if circles dot length is greater than 0, and we have has history if history dot length is greater than 0. So right now we don't have history, that's why redo is disabled. And if I click on undo, then redo becomes enabled, because now we have something to add on the screen. And if I click on reset, then both are disabled now. So if we look back, we did the reset also, we did handle the functionality for undo, redo and sub reset. Now come the part for the bounce animation. Okay, so what we can do here is, for this we will go to our style.css, we'll use a keyframe animation here. We'll say bounce from, it will start from scale, not transform, scale 0, and it will go to transform scale 1. And if I go to my circle, what I can do here is, we can say animation bounce, and it would be 0.2 seconds, ease in, ease out, and it would be forward. We have to retain the value. So now if I zoom in, there might be some complications due to this. See, the bounce is happening, but now my this circle is not center aligned. So this is because in this animation also we are applying transform, and in earlier also we were applying some transform here. So to fix this, what we can do is that we can remove this transform, but, and if I refresh, if I click here, if I show you, then my circle is still not center aligned. So where I was applying xy coordinates, rather than rather than removing or subtracting the radius, I can subtract the full width and height to center align it. See, now it is working fine, and the bounce animation is also happening. And if I undo and I can redo, so this is working fine. Let's see if we have met all the criteria. We say a circle should appear where the user clicks on the screen, that is done. A circle should be assigned a random color, done. We supported undo, redo, reset, and we are disabling the control based on the state, and the circle should have fade in or scale animation upon entering and exiting. But mostly we have done. The idea here was to build a small and fun app because this test people on styling, on code structure, it is a simple in terms of complexity is not that high, but in terms of code structuring within half an hour interview, it is good because we talked about we talked about creating, undo and redo operations, and a code structure like this is rendering circles, we have controls, disabling the controls depending upon certain conditions. So this is the end of the video. I hope you were able to learn something new today and you were able to enjoy the solution I provided. If you feel that I missed out on something or something could have been done better, then please do mention in the comments. Do reach out to me on social platforms. As always, do like, share, and subscribe. This would motivate me to do more, pick more fun challenges. I created a couple of bunch of more videos. Like the next video might be interview question from Atlassian. I'm creating a series around that. So till next time, see you. Take care. Bye bye.